Hey friends, what's up? I have an over-the-board game to report back to you on, and so I played it last night, playing for Chesterfield C team, and my opponent was rated a couple of hundred points lower than me in ECF. I'm currently provisional, or was currently provisional, just under 1600 ECF rating. It's English Chess Federation, and he's also a couple of hundred points lower rated on chess.com. It says he's in the 1300s on rapid on chess.com, and has never hit 1400, okay, in rapid, whereas I've been 1670. Okay, so I actually have the black pieces in this game. That's the wrong game. Okay, this is the game. Okay, so my opponent's his name's Shane Williams, which sounds like a Welshman, he does, but is actually Dutch. And guess what we open with? We have e4, e5, and he plays knight c3, the Vienna game. Now, if you don't want to know the result of this game, shut your ears for the next 5 seconds. He absolutely kicks my arse. Okay? Right. You're back in the room. Okay, so playing against the Vienna. So my normal thing is to mirror knight c6, and then play f5, the Marcellus Wallace approach, okay? I play knight c6, and I'm expecting him to bring his bishop out to c4, okay? And on move 3 of the game, Shane surprises me by playing bishop c5. Now this is now, it's like a Vienna. If this knight was over here and this knight was over here, it would be a Ruy Lopez, the Spanish game. Yeah, and I was flummoxed. I didn't know what to do. I just don't know this move, right? But it's like a Spanish with the knight in the wrong place. It's not Vienna. I knew what to expect. I was ready to kind of play f5, and I didn't know what to do. So I thought, well, let's continue with principal play. So I play my bishop out to c5, targeting the f2 pawn, etc. He brings out his knight, I bring out my knight. Okay, so far so normal. Now he takes my knight. Now this is a very typical Spanish idea. This is like the Ruy Lopez exchange variation. What he's doing is he's removing the defender of this pawn. Right? I was simply not aware. I wasn't thinking to myself Spanish. I was thinking this Vienna's gone wrong. Right? I recapture now with the b pawn, and he takes my pawn. So I'm a pawn down. However, he's got a knight that's kind of offside, and I would love to push d6 here, but I can't because this pawn would hang. And I also have 3 pawn islands, which is annoying. Okay, so what do? Queen e7. I attack the knight. I want it to get out of there. He disagrees and refuses to be shoved away and plays d4, at once defending the knight and attacking my bishop, which is a pain. So I drop my bishop back down now to b6, and he brings out his other bishop. So he's deploying very well, and he's got this lovely centre. He's got d4 and e4. Right, he's got 3 pieces out on the board. I now play my bishop to b7. I thought about a6, trying to prevent him from castling. I thought, well, let's kind of reinforce this pawn. At some point, I might have ideas of pushing this pawn and opening up this diagonal maybe towards g2. Now, this position has been seen once, it appears on Lee Chess. Okay, he castles, I castle. And now rook e1. And I now push a7. So my concern here is I want an escape square for my bishop. I'm liking this bishop. I like the fact it's lined up with the enemy king. And my concern is that he's going to play his knight back here to c4 and hit my bishop. However, has to be said, if he wants to spend 2 moves doing this, I recapture with the c pawn. Hey, I've just fixed my pawn structure. I'll probably be all right there. You know, yes, I'm lacking central control, but this is a nasty knight. You know, so was this really necessary? Knight does come back, and I drop back into the hole in a7. Right. Now you can see these pawns are now slightly more free to move forwards, a bit unpleasant. And I've dropped a pawn. Okay, when did that pawn drop? When he moved his knight. Discovered attack. Also note, this bishop is undefended. And actually this bishop is undefended after this point. Well, no, it's defended now. It's defended now. Okay, I play rook e8. He comes back up and annoys my queen. I guess I could have pushed forward here, kind of attacking this knight, but then what if d5? I suppose I can take, and I can't recapture. I'd actually be quite trapped there. Yeah, I'd have to go to one of these squares if that happens. So anyway, I drop my queen back to d8. He pushes on. And this is just a really good example of good front foot play, right? I stick my knight now on d5, and he plays his knight to e4. Right? Really, you can see this kind of mass in these 9 squares. He owns, he's got pieces on 5 of them, right? Looking really good. Now, I play my rook up to e6. My idea is to slide over to g6, try and open up this bishop at some point, maybe get the queen involved. I know I'm 2 pawns down, I have to be kind of active. Out comes the queen. And here I spot, right, since the queen moved, a hanging pawn. Now, I asked my opponent after the game if he'd kind of left that deliberately, if he'd seen what might happen if I took it. I don't think he did, I think he just blundered it. Not that it was a blunder, because he now plays this horrible move, bishop to c5. Now, stop and figure out what you would play if you want in this situation, because I think paused for at least 10 minutes. Okay, now, if I take his bishop, okay, then he can take that with a knight, and I have a rook here, which I don't want to lose, and an undefended bishop. This is the problem of leaving your pieces on squares where they're not defended, where they're not coordinated. Right, so I kept looking at that. I couldn't find a way out of that. I can't move my rook and counterattack the queen, blah, blah, blah. I'm simply going to lose material. So that was out of the question. Well, what about this? Okay, I have 2 attackers on here. He's only got 1 defender. But here's the problem. So let's just show you this one, okay? There and takes. And what do I do now, right? I've got a rook under attack. If I save the rook, I'm going to lose the bishop. Okay, just horrible. If we go back, if I, for example, take here, okay, and knight takes, I can't recapture. Why not? Because my opponent has knight f6 check, and my rook is undefended. Discovered attack against the rook. So again, you know, I move out the way. Again, I'm down in material. Horrible stuff. Okay. So that's not possible. In the end, I went for capturing on B2. Yeah, I couldn't really think of any other way around it. In fact, after the game, I said, well, here, he takes here, right? And then this knight there, yes. He said, but your knight's covering it. Well, it's not. I can win the knight back. I still lose my rook. So still no good. Okay, so I take the pawn. He recaptures with a knight. I'm now well down in material. I move my king. Why am I moving my king to h8? Not altogether sure. I think, yeah, no, I don't know. King to h8. And now he comes in to d6. Now the problem here is, again, he's threatening the royal fork and he's threatening an undefended bishop. Don't undefend your own pieces. Right, so I trade off. I get rid of the knight. I try and push. I try and make some counterplay. Okay, bring my queen over. Maybe I can get a discovery against his knight. Okay, this is just desperate play now. Desperate times. Recapture with the knight. Discovery. He doesn't fall for it. I create some luft, because my biggest fear is some kind of smothered mate. He comes in with check. This is forced. comes in again. I come back to give my king an escape square on g8. Discover check. King g8 is pretty much forced. If I'd gone to h8 again, we have the royal fork here, so that's no good. Queen comes in. I push my pawn now. I'm hoping that my quiet little bishop that's been there for the entire game can somehow come to the rescue. It attacks my queen. I move my queen over. I'm threatening to play queen c6 when I come up here, but his annoying queen is stuck on that g file defending g2. Can anything be done? Check. I have to move. Rook comes in. It's just desperate now, right? And one last hope. Check, damn, and then that's checkmate. Okay, now, it seems horrible, but, and it was, in the words of Beth Harmon, this is the thing I do to other people, and he was doing it to me, right? He's an aggressive player, and I respect that, and I really respect the guy. If I pull up the game report here, and you should be able to see that, from white, 2 inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders, 95 accuracy, right? The kid just played out of his skin, but also I allowed him to do it. The weaker the moves that you play, the easier you make it for your opponent to play well, to find good moves, right? What about for me? No blunders, 2 mistakes, 6 inaccuracies, 85. Now, any other day, 85 accuracy against somebody rated in the 1300s would be enough to carry the day. Not on this day. Not on this day. And if you look at this graph here, look at that. I never had the slightest advantage, right? There's his 2 inaccuracies. You can see one there, it dips down, one there, it dips down, right? But he just applied and applied and applied the pressure all the way till the end. Now, point is, it's great to lose. It's great to lose, and I have to say I practiced a lot yesterday. My wife wasn't happy with how many games of chess I played, and I must have played 3 or so on the Chestnut Air as well, trying to get my eye in for the 3D. And I was doing okay, I was like 1540 or something at Rapid. I was doing fine. But this game got to me. And the point is, it was all down to this move 3. Okay, now, I've kind of answered my own question already here. But what should I have done? Okay, now, there's a lot of factors that go into what should I have done. First of all, we're playing an unusual line in the Vienna that I don't understand. So, I could almost scratch out the bit that says Vienna, right? We're not in Vienna land anymore. But against the Vienna, if this bishop had been here, I was going to play f5, the Marcellus Wallace, right? I want to put him off his stride. And this is the other factor. This is the thing about me. This is how I like to play, right? I don't, and it honestly, and do you know what else I have to tell you, right? We have 75 minutes on the clock for these games, an hour and a quarter on the clock, right? My opponent had an hour left. He had an hour left. I've got the sheet here, right? He had a bloody hour left at the end of this. 61 minutes he had on his clock. 61 minutes. So he beat me in 14 minutes of his own time. And a whole load of mine. I finished with 30 something left on the clock, right? And it felt to me like I was in his preparation, I was in his theory for the first 10 moves. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But that's why the first 5 or 6 moves really matter. Now, so what should I have done? Well, I think you already know the answer. If the bishop was here, I was going to play f5. Now, what if this knight wasn't out, but this knight was, right? What's this called? The Roy Lopez, the Spanish. What do I play against the Spanish? F5. F5. So, would f5 have been a bad move here? Well, let us find out. So here, I've gone over to my Marcellus Wallace study on Lichess, and I've created a chapter called 3 Bishop C5. E4, E5, Knight C3, Knight C6, fine, Bishop C5, which I'm very tempted to rename as the Vienna anal beads attack, because there were some jokes made. I mean, literally, we sat there in the upstairs at the pub last night, and we both typed it into Lichess analysis board. We both, relayed our moves into the phone because we couldn't believe how well he'd played, right? And he went, "No, I don't believe it. 95 accuracy." Anyway, so there were jokes about we should have scanned him on the way in and started calling him Hans, but don't sue me, it's a joke. So here, now what about F5? What about F5? Okay, well, let's go back a turn. I'm going to show you here what we're looking at: 1800, 2000, 2200, right? Why I've got it set to this? Because these are people that I want to beat. Okay, now, most popular moves here are Knight F6, okay, all fine. I played Bishop C5. Bishop C5 is the second most common. Now, Knight F6, black wins 48% of the time. Black actually wins slightly more than white black gets 48, white gets 47, right? Second move, Bishop C5. Black wins 51 to 45, okay? Then we have D6. D6 is all fine, 49, 45, so slightly better for white. You've got A6, kick it a bish, after which you'll probably just take 48, 47 to white. Knight to D4, putting the knight straight into the middle here, which is interesting. Attacking the bishop, eyes on C2. Knight D4 isn't bad, 49% to black, 46 to white. And Bishop B4. Bishop B4 isn't great. This is mirroring. That favours white at 50-46. Then you've got Knight G to E7 here, which favours white 50-45. Now, I'm labouring the point. The point is, we now get to this extremely uncommon move, played only 2.6% of the time. That's one game out of every 40, and it's F5. And F5, 47% to white, 51% to black. F5. Equal best response in this position. And why didn't I do it? That's the key. It's understanding, why did I do what I did, right? I was guessing at this. I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to play a Vienna-ish move. That's all I thought. That was the limit of my thought process there. And I just thought, sod it, it's a move, right? Now the computer favours white here, plus 1.5, but that's not the point. Now I'm going to show you the most common moves from white. Okay? Take the knight, we recapture with the D pawn, not the B pawn, by the way, the D pawn. Yeah? So I had 3 pawn islands very early on. They will take. We don't recapture straight away. Why not? Because look, we're in our I know exactly where I am. I know where I am here. Right? This is Freddy Krueger land. Welcome to Krugerland, my own personal chess-themed horror theme park. Why didn't I play F5? Right? But that's the move that you play to stop the queen coming out. Yeah, we know this. Oh, slow old Sherlock. Right? Bishop comes out, pin the knight. Break the pin. Now we grab the pawn back. Now they come here. Oh dear, that's a blunder, right? We take the knight. They take the bishop. We come in with an attack. We capture on F2 with a fork on rook and queen, forcing the king to move out of his blocks. And then what do we do? Bang! Whoa! -3 in black's favour already. Bang. Bang. Right? Now, has to be said, this position has never been seen before. But if it's going to be seen, I'd like to be the one to make it be seen. Because this is great. And then if you play all the best computer, these are all the engine's recommendations, right? Look, we're just up a rook. Yeah? Anyway, this is on my Marcellus Wallace study if you want to go and have a look for yourself. But the lesson for that is, know what kind of player you are, right? What kind of player am I? I'm a player that likes to play f5 with the black pieces first of all. I like to get my opponent out of their comfort zone, right? 2.5, 1 in 40 games. He'll never have seen this move, right? It gets him out of his preparation. That's the whole point. It's the whole point of the Freddy Krueger repertoire, right? And why have I created the Freddy Krueger repertoire? Because it suits me. I want to get into good old tactics. I want to have some fun. I want to open up the board. I want to live a bit dangerously. I want to tempt his queen out into the board. And more than anything else, because I'm a lazy old bastard, I want to use the same patterns that I use in the Rousseau, in the Calabrese counter gambit, in the Janish gambit, right? In the Ponziani counter gambit, right? In the Scotch F5, Freddy Krueger. You know, it's all the same stuff. And I left it all in my pocket, right? And I just poked at the board and had a guess, right? Muppet time. But the point is, boys and girls, have I learnt the lesson? Well, I hope so, because it wasn't an enjoyable evening at all. But, you know, full credit to this guy. You know, the boy played out of his skin, 95 accuracy. You know, he'd have beaten most of us, right, on that day, you know. And sometimes you just got to say, I lost to the better player on the day, you know. Guy played amazingly well, and fair play, you know. I've really punished a couple of players. I think this is maybe my 8th game that I've played over the board. Yeah, I've really embarrassed and humiliated a couple of those guys. And, you know, that's fun, but you take it and you know that it swings both ways. So, you know, well done, Shane, the Dutch wizard. And thank you for the lesson. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon.